Hey guys, welcome back. I know it's been a while. Sorry, I've been pretty busy with life going on to get videos out, but I've got another one for you today, and hopefully you enjoy it. It's a little bit different, but I bought something that hopefully will allow me to get out on some more videos and make some more content for you guys, and that is this here beautiful Old Town canoe. So this is it's an Old Town Pathfinder. It's made by, with royalex, so it's a pretty lightweight canoe, but very durable. It's about 15 feet long if you measure from the tip of the bow to stern, but it needs a little bit of work. I bought it, and I guess two owners before me, a guy was going down, and I guess he hit a rock and cracked it here. Now they did patch the inside, so it is water worthy, but I don't really like the look of this ugly crack here. So I'm going to be attending to this. I'll be going to sand that down and fill that. I'll sand that off, give it a good old sand all over, and then I'll probably repaint the whole thing. There's a couple of dents here and there, here, a couple wrinkles over here. I'm going to try to sand and fill as best as I can, and then repaint it all so it's all one color. I'm going to try and leave this here strip of gold going down there. I kind of like that accent. It's pretty nice. I don't see it on a whole lot of other canoes, so I'm going to try to keep that. So yeah, the seats will need to be redone as well. Both this one and the one up front here are ripped out, and then the finish is pretty much all gone on the seat frames, the yoke here. So I'm going to probably do is take these off, sand them all down, refinish them, take the old seat out, and I'm probably going to wrap it in a 1.5 inch black webbing. That's what Old Town's been doing for a lot of their newer seats, and they look good, and it's something I can do. It's relatively easy, a lot easier than trying to do the old wicker. So that's my plans, and I think I've already got a plan in the work on a nice canoe trip. I might be able to bring this on this fall, so I'm hopefully you guys will be able to see this thing from the way it is, the shape it is now, all the way through the restoration process, and then hopefully me getting it out and going on a nice long canoe trip with a buddy of mine. So I guess we'll get right into it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do with this here crack is take my knife here and try and cut away this old plastic here. You can kind of see it went through the outer layers and down into the foam in here, and you want to be able to take the layers away smoothly and kind of furrow it out and not have this sharp line here. So I'm just kind of taking away this old plastic. It's kind of hard and brittle, so I'm just cutting that away here, and then what I'll do is then sand it and prep it for the filler that I have. This big chunk here is really where I want to spend a lot of my time. This is just kind of pulling right away from the canoe. You can see that there. So I'm going to try and cut as much of this away, and then see what we're up with after that. So I got most all that old plastic and the really kind of messed up foam cut away here. You kind of see the extent of the damage that's on this now. If you didn't know, let's see if I can find a good place to show you in the sun here. This is how a royalex canoe is made. It's 2 layers of plastic here. You've got that green, and then this layer, and then the interior layer is foam, and then it's the same opposite thing on the other side, on the inside, and that allows these canoes to be really light, but also extremely durable. I don't think anybody makes a royalex canoe anymore. I know for a fact that Old Town does not. They haven't made them for years, so they are pretty highly sought after canoes now, because they're just some of the best material for a canoe, especially if you're going if you're going to carry it a lot to some harder to reach places, do a lot of river trips. My parents used to whitewater canoe in their old tripper that was made of royalex, so they're quite a nice canoe, and this thing will last me quite a while if I keep it up and take care of it. So that's why I'm trying to get all this damage taken care of now and fixed up. So the next step in this is I'm going to do is take my sander and just hit all this, bring it back, smooth it out, but also rough up the surrounding areas. That way the epoxy that it has a nice surface to adhere to. If you would just put epoxy on a surface without roughing it up with sandpaper, it won't get into the structure and actually adhere in it as well. So you really want to make sure you sand it out and rough it up. That way it has a nice surface for the epoxy to adhere to. Otherwise it's just gonna fall right off. So I'm gonna start that. I'm gonna start with 120 grit and see how well that takes it down. If I need more, I've got a higher, or I guess lower grit. We'll do that, and then later we'll hit this all probably just with a 220, because that'll just get a good quick sand on it, just enough so the paint can stick to it as well. So we're going to go ahead and start sanding this out and maybe a couple other areas. Okay, so I got this sanded out all around here, and I chased every little crack I could find that had any sort of depth to it, and brought it down, furrowed it out, and then I made sure I hit the surrounding area pretty well too with the sandpaper. That way my epoxy has plenty of area to grab onto in the surrounding area. What I'm using is this plastic welder. It's essentially it's just a two-part epoxy, which is pretty much like a JB Weld plastic JB Weld. This is just not a name brand. This will work to fill this. If you have a big crack or hole that's not already patched and is leaking, Old Town on their website does sell a repair kit, which comes with I think like a 1 foot by 3 foot piece, and then a container of resin. So you can put that on the inside or the exterior of your canoe and resin that on. But this one's already patched, and the epoxy will do just fine for filling this all in and patching off the rest of it and bringing it flush. This one's not clear. You can get clear, but I'm painting it anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me. So I got this area I'm gonna do. Around the other side, there's this dent here I'm going to try to fill up, and then there was a couple other scrapes here that actually went a little bit deeper than I thought before, but I sanded out and chased those, so those are good and ready to go. Before you put this stuff on, you got to make sure you wipe this area down, clean it up. You can use paint thinner or rubbing alcohol, denatured alcohol, something like that. Something that's just going to clean up the area. Get all the dust out of it, so the epoxy has a nice surface to attach to that doesn't have any debris or anything in there. I'm just going to mix this up on a piece of cardboard. This just happens to be a Nutri-Grain box. You don't want to do the raw side of the cardboard. Try to do like something that's covered. It won't pull any weird stuff out of the cardboard that could contaminate it. So all you do really is you break this off, squeeze it out, mix it up, and I'll put it in, and I'll try and get that on camera for you. And you're just going to mix up the hardener with the actual epoxy here. Make sure it's all mixed in well. You don't want to leave it unmixed, as then it'll mess up your setting times. This stuff sets relatively fast, the kind I have, so can't work it too long. It should be good. And just going to try and work it in here, lather it right around. Probably should have bought a putty knife for this, but I forgot while I was at the hardware store. That's okay. I'm going to sand this down anyways after the fact again. Okay, so this stuff, this is the fast drying time stuff. You really only have about 5 minutes to work with this stuff, so you gotta go relatively quickly. They do have some that takes a little bit longer, but for what I needed, this is the only one they had in stock for right now, so you gotta work quick if you have that. But that's a pretty good coat over this whole area. This area is a little bit deeper. I do have another tube, so after this dries, I'm going to sand it down, smooth it out, and then if this isn't flush up to the rest of the canoe, I can put some more in here, and on the other side I need a little bit more over there as well. But that looks pretty decent for what it is right now. You can see this outside stuff's already relatively dry there and hard. The full cure time is about 24 hours. So probably today I'm just going to fill it, let it sit for a little while. I might come back and sand it, put the second coat on, fill in the other spots I need on the other side of the canoe. And then I'm just going to let it sit probably for a full day to really harden before I sand everything else and paint it. So I sanded down that first layer of epoxy, and this all in here ended up pretty decent. It's all flush. There's a couple of spots I need a little bit more in here. And then this stuff sanded pretty nicely, so it took the shape of the canoe pretty well. In here I've got to put some more in. Those are some deeper spots, as well as right here. And then on the same thing on the other side. This time I went to the store real quick and picked up a putty knife. That stirring stick wasn't really working for me. So this will be able to allow me to cover the whole thing and really work it in there a lot better. So hopefully second coat should look a lot better. We're going to go ahead and mix that up and try it out. So I just got done sanding the whole thing over. I ended up doing is going over the spots that I was filling, and I hit that again with the 120 just to take it down, to smooth it and shape it the way I wanted it to look. And then I went over and hit the whole thing with 220, and then I went ahead and hand sanded down here next to the decals, so I wouldn't have to get too close with my electric sander, because I didn't want to ruin these. I want to keep these. They look really nice. You can see the pattern here in this gold. It looks really neat. I like that. So we're going to try and keep that. I'm going to tape over those before I paint it. That's probably what I'm going to do tonight, and then maybe tomorrow, if I got the time, we'll put a coat of paint on it and see how she looks. Okay, so I got my seats all sanded, and then I put a teak oil on both the seats and the yoke, and the teak oil will go and soak into the grain, and then it'll penetrate in deep, and then it's gonna seal it off to help prevent any water from getting in there. It's used for outdoor furniture and stuff like that, so it should hold up well in it for these. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-web them. So what I did is I cut this one to length, and how this is going to work is I'll have it stapled here, and then come around and I'll staple to the inside here as well, and run that all the way down, and then across and weave it in. So I'll show you how you do that. Essentially, you just cut them all the same length. Make sure you get a lighter and burn the ends to keep them from fraying, and then staple and weave. Okay, now that these are all cut and I've burned all the edges, now I'm just going to put them all in here, space them out. Alright, and once you have the spacing all out where you want it, you just take this, fold it over the end here, grab a staple gun, come in on this side here, wrap it around. You want to get it kind of snug, and then staple in here. Okay, so my camera ended up dying before I got to finish the seats, so I didn't end up being able to show you. But this is what they look like now. All the webbing's done on both of these. It was pretty easy. All you got to do, like I was showing, is just staple here and on this side, and then weave the other ones through and staple the ends. It's pretty simple, and I think they came out pretty good. One warning I would say, I did have a couple of staples come through because I was holding the gun at too much of an angle. So just be careful of what angle you're holding the gun at, otherwise it might blow through. And then obviously if you're using a pneumatic staple gun, just make sure your fingers aren't in the way either, because that would not be very enjoyable. So now this is the last step. We just got to get the 2 seats and the yoke put back in place, and then the canoe is all done for now and she's ready to go. Alright, so the seats are in, they're all done, as well as the yoke here. So what you're seeing me do, I got them started just by threading on by hand, and then I went in with my impact gun and got them relatively tight, then went ahead and finished it up with a screwdriver. That way I didn't over tighten these the hardware on this. I didn't want anything to break or snap or anything, because this is all original hardware. This is original wood for the seats and the yoke. All I did was refinish all that, but it's all done now, man, and I think it looks pretty good. I really like it. I think it came out really nice. I think I am at some point gonna put skid plates on the bow and the keel of it to help protect it from bumping into any rocks and you know, getting any big dents, scratches, or you know, any cracks in the bow or stern. But I think that's it for now. I might do a video on that later. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see that. But for now, I hope you guys have enjoyed this little bit of a canoe restoration, and I'll see you in the next one.